Hello everyone. This is 50 on Friday and it is Friday, December 14th. I was going to say the 13th, but it's the 14th. This is just the Friday before my birthday and I have some contemplations I want to share with you. So whether you're watching it live or on the replay, welcome and thank you for joining me. I'm not sure what episode this is, probably like episode 18, something like that. But today I want to talk about the guilt matrix. Guilt and its bedfellow shame. Those are, my energy workers said that they're like bread and butter. They just go together. So for those of us who have struggled with guilt, we've also struggled with shame. And I think that, I mentioned last week that part of what's happening to me, and the reason why my birthday this year has a particular significance, is because I have Chiron, the wounded healer, on my moon until 4 days after my birthday. And I feel this as an amazing rite of passage, this crossing over from, I said that about about turning 50. And I create it as a context of a bright line in turning 50. But what I also said in my book, The Art of Turning 50, is that it doesn't really magically happen on one day. It's a process. And so I feel like since I turned 50, I've really been in this process, in this Chiron return process. And Chiron, the wounded healer, has been such a huge part of my process that I talk about it a lot. It was like this date with destiny, that at this point in my life, I was going to clean up and heal the wounds of the childhood and past. And I feel that way. It's an incredible privilege to have this time in my life to really cross over. So turning 52, it feels like, in the deck of cards, which maybe I'll talk about next week, it's such a great thing. It's a really cool point of divination using the deck of cards. And in the deck of cards, you get a new card every 52 years. So there is a significance with 52. And for me personally, I have Chiron, the wounded healer, on my moon. I've already been through Chiron return, but as I said, now Chiron retrograded back into Pisces. My moon is a little bit later degrees than my Chiron, so Chiron went right on my moon, and it'll leave on December 23rd. And then it continues its movement forward into Aries. So all of my friends who are like 1969, 1970, you're Aries people, Chiron and Aries. So I'm in a really big healing moment, and that has not been lost on me, really, since I discovered this whole Chiron thing, which was with the revision of my book, like about a year ago, a little more than a year. I have discovered this Chiron, and holy shit, this distinction of the wounded healer. And those of us who are called to be teachers and astrologers and shaman, chances are we have Chiron placed in a very auspicious place in our chart, because we are meant to revisit our healing, our woundings, in order to heal. So what I've been working on is the shame matrix, the guilt matrix. One thing I really noticed is, and I wrote about it in a post that some of you got the email what's so fun? Okay, internet now is available. Okay, so hopefully you caught all of that. It doesn't kick me out here. But just to backtrack a little bit, the guilt matrix is this matrix that a lot of us are in, that somehow back in your childhood you suffered a shame. I suffered some kind of a shame. And we talked about it a little last week, but I'm continuing the theme because I'm really grokking this for my this last moment of Chiron delivering me this healing. So when I went back with this energy worker to that child, have to do this in order to get love, and then we would have to make, oh, John, Satnam, so good to see you. I'm going to wave to you. I'm talking about guilt and the guilt matrix and the shame matrix, and how the movement out of that into our authentic self. And that's kind of my journey right now, out of the guilt matrix and the shame matrix. And having this moment in time, which is this Chiron on my moon time. Because no matter how much we feed it by doing what we think we should do, it ends up never being satisfied. You still feel guilty. It kind of sucks. You don't get to honor it and then be relieved. Because it's a hungry ghost, it needs to constantly be fed. And some of us can spend all of our lives trying to feed that guilt matrix. And only you will really know if that's you, because I can do the same service on the outside and my come from place can be really different on the inside. So what I've been working on is, how do I, in the face that power from my current adult self to my child self, to, like, for me it was a teacher who said something to me, and then my response back to the teacher being an empowered, open-hearted response from the place of, I get to be who I am. So one of the things we discovered is that the guilt is so automatic that if we can catch it with our awarenesses, our awareness of the matrix, then we can make a movement against it. Now the thing about it, like she said, it was like turning into the wind. And I love that metaphor because it's not consciousness, God, whatever word you want it, is living through me as a template. And that feels like not personal. It doesn't even feel about me. It feels just the gratitude of that energy flowing through this body-mind. And that for me relieves the guilt matrix. I still have to do the actions. I still have to be the one in the face of the things that cause me to caretake, overdo out of a sense of guilt. I still have to be the one. We project onto other people what it must be like being them, or in my case, I remember the shame, so I don't want anyone else to go through it. And part of what my journey has been is to remember that those hard moments are exactly what brought me here. That if it weren't for those difficult moments and difficult teachers, that I would not be who I am. So who am I to take that away from someone else? So one of the things that we realized is that the patterns, those conditioned patterns, are shapeshifters. And they're working off our own intelligence. And that's why I mean like they're AI. We've trained them. They become even smarter than us. They're working off our own intelligence. And then when a pattern and then I give myself the permission to, Rafaela, hello. And then I give myself the permission in going back to that childhood hurt and trauma to actually feel what is true. And when I did that, I had to go deep into myself to feel what my truth was. And as I was a child, it was in kindergarten, and hey Kira, hello Satnam. I'm talking about like going back and revisiting the guilt matrix and the shame matrix. And when I was doing this work with my therapist, energy worker, it linked it back to this event in kindergarten when I was writing. I was done with my assignment, so I was like doing math problems on the other side of the page. And she came by and she said, "We're not doing that right now." And I really wanted her validation from that, so it totally crushed me. And I got really embarrassed. And I just shut it down. And I think I probably put my head down and I cried. I was just super sensitive. And from then, like those events and a series of events, it like weaves together, like, no, things as a child like turn out to be whatever, but you know, that's my path, and here I am, Chiron on my moon now, revisiting that time to clear it. Because that time, who cares really, except that that shows up all the time, everywhere. And because I have Chiron on my moon, I am so lucky I get to see all the places it's showing up. And one of the places it shows up for me is this enormous guilt when I'm not taking care of someone else who needs it, particularly one of my intimates. So guilt has been my matrix, and what I discovered was that shame is the matrix that goes with guilt, like their bread and butter. And that what that's keeping me from is sovereignty. And it's so funny that I said that, because my next women's program that's starting in March after my event, called Rise, and Rise will be for women at the Soul of based on the very thing that I'm working through. And of course I did. That makes so much sense. So I have between now and February 1st with Rise, and then March when we kick off our group program to like fucking nail this one. And I'm going to. That's what Chiron Return is all about. But you guys get to witness it real time. And that's the beautiful thing, because at the end of the day, I think that's what we're here to do. So let me share with you one final thing. This is kind of the icing on the cake about sovereign. So if we get rid of the guilt matrix and we get rid of the shame matrix and we shake it off. That's not who we're being. That's not what we're choosing. And I give myself full authority and position and permission to be the truth of who I am, even if that means it disappoints you or someone else. Knowing that God is God to all, not just me, but also to you. That no serves your path. If your priority is yourself and your life, then the medicine becomes to turn. Then the prayer is, may my needs be met through me following my highest purpose. That's it. So we have needs, and that doesn't make us needy. We just have needs. And instead of those, the making sure that those needs get met as a part of what I'm here to do, I thought it was a nicer context to pop it up a level and be like, may my highest good include having my needs met. That reframe really works for me. So now as I go into moving out of, go into my it's 53rd year, completing my 52nd year, and changing cards in the deck of cards and going into the fullness of who I am, the matrix that I get to work with is no longer the shame and guilt matrix that's like autopilot. Remember, Rafaela, I said in our retreat, autopilot will. So those are the themes. I mean, those are hot off the press. We're going to be exploring that through Rise. You've probably seen that image. I'll post that. I didn't post that last time in the comments, but I will this time. And I know, Rafaela, you're coming. I'm so grateful. Kira, maybe you'll drive your Airstream. That would be so awesome. But at the end of the day, I think that I'm feeling the mandate and the duty to step into that, because I don't think there's any more fucking around. The universe made you. God made you as you, so that you can contribute as you. And